Oh, hey there. Sorry it's been a while, but I am back, and who's ready to see some magic? Geez, I'm stylish. Welcome back to Creep Designs by Twitch. I feel like I need to have, like, a brandy or something in one hand and a cigar in the other hand. This chair is actually quite comfortable. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be horrible. Um, so, in this video, I'm working on kind of two chairs. Because the chairs are slightly different, they're going to be done in kind of the same style but with a slight difference. So they're going to kind of match, but not really, because they kind of match, but not really. Anyway, here is my inspiration photos. I don't know which one will be going in which colour. We'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one, but I have a feeling I am biting off more than I can chew again because that is what I do. Let's get started. If you've been here before, you will of course know that I absolutely will clean these pieces, but I'm not showing it because that is boring and no one wants to see that. But if you want to see how I do clean my pieces, there is a link in the description of a video showing how I do it. I will also give this piece a good sucking with the vacuum cleaner, you sickos. Oh my god, get your minds out of the gutter. The fabric on these chairs is fairly clean, but I just want to make sure I get rid of any dust that might have settled on them while sitting in the shed. Okay, so I have procrastinated long enough, just been sitting there scrolling on TikTok. So of course I'm going to be painting the fabric on these chairs, and I kind of stuffed up. I ordered the colours I wanted from Mint by Michelle without stopping and thinking, hang on, can Mint by Michelle paint be used on fabric? And I tried looking it up and I couldn't really find anything to say yes or no. And I talked to Michelle about it and she gave me some pointers. And then I thought, okay, I'll test it on a piece of fabric and see how it goes. And before I started doing that, I remembered seeing that people have been adding fabric softener to their furniture paint to use it on fabric, and it helps get a softer result. Apparently, I haven't really looked into it a great deal, but I thought I'd give that a go. So why the hell not? Good a time as any to try it out. So these are my results using Mint by Michelle paint, which is a mineral paint. So it's got a built-in sealer, and typically if it's got a built-in sealer, it will apparently come out a lot stiffer than if you used a chalk paint. And I'm going to say this now, I don't have a lot of experience with painting fabric. The closest I've come to painting fabric is I painted this vinyl chair years ago with Carts and Millie mineral paint, and that turned out great. But I haven't actually painted fabric. Oh, no, that's a lie. I tried painting velvet after I was literally warned against painting velvet, and it really did not go well. So I scrapped that, and no one saw that. But anyway, these are the results. So this is the result of mint mineral paint with just water added to it. And as you can see, it's kind of still rigid. It's not soft or anything like that. It kind of feels like leather. It's got that leathery feel. It's been waxed. And it feels kind of like leather, but it's very rigid and doesn't... So if I try to twist it, it doesn't really have much give. It doesn't have any pull or anything like that. It's very rigid. So that's just mint mineral paint with water. This one, however, has fabric softener mixed into it. But this is the result. And as you can see already, it's softer, a lot more supple. It's got a lot more bend in it. It's got flex, so it's definitely flexible. Like, it's got a bit of stretch to it still, and it's not cracking or anything like that. Like, I can do that with it. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to grab this one and see what happens. Like, see, it's not quite as nice. But anyway, that's enough talking. I am so sorry this has gone on for so long, but we'll get back to it. Now, I know I'm going to get asked in the comments, but I'm going to say it now. I am not great with ratios and measurements and stuff like that. My advice for something like this, unless you want to look up the exact numbers from someone else, do a test run yourself on something smaller or a scrap piece of fabric or something like that, and work out the ratios for yourself for what you think feels right for you. I got there in the end, I was distracted. But in this case, I dumped a 500ml tin of paint in this big ass jar, and I added about half that tin of water and the same amount of fabric softener. Alright, I did start taping off around the edges of the fabric and that trim that you see there, but then I got the shits with that and decided I did not want to do that because stuff that. Did you guys know that this stuff is held on with hot glue? Like, I didn't know. I thought it was like stitched on or something like that, or, I have no idea. Did anyone else know? I've learnt something new with this, and it made it so much easier to remove this because all I had to do was hit it with the heat gun and pull that stuff off. It was raggedy too. Like, I'm actually glad that I ended up removing it because it was all worn and torn and really gross. And this is what I ended up with. Don't worry about the hand gestures, that's just me blah blah blahing as I do. This is what I replaced it with. I got it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. Did you guys know this stuff is called gimp braid? Alrighty, I'll talk through this process as best I can, but you guys know by now I am not great at this. I started by spraying it down a little bit because that's what I've seen everyone else do. I was a little concerned about how this fabric was going to take the paint because it is quite a bit thinner than the fabric that I tested it on. And I already know how this turns out, so I'm not going to act this out. It doesn't turn out well. But I'm still going to show it anyway because it's all a learning process and it's all part of it, and I like leaving this stuff in. But as you can see, this fabric really isn't taking the paint at all. It's way too thin for it, and I end up just putting the chair to one side and saying stuff it. I will come back to this chair later and reupholster it properly. Okay, if you saw the previous video I put up, it was doing this repair on this chair, which was a little weird and awkward and hard to do. So I did a video on it, and if you got right to the end of that video, you'll see that I didn't show whether the repair worked or not, but now you get to see whether it worked. Yep, looks good to me. 2 thumbs up. Now, on the other chair, this paint was way too thin, but as you can see on this chair, which has much thicker fabric, it is working a lot better. In hindsight, white was probably the worst colour to choose for something with such a dark pattern throughout it. It's not like super dark pattern, but it's very prominent pattern, especially since it is slightly raised on that fabric. So I did end up having to do like 4 or 5 or maybe 6 coats of white on this fabric. Another thing you need to do when painting fabric like this is to sand in between each coat, and I'm using 400 grit sandpaper. You don't have to go batshit crazy with the sanding, just give it a rub over and leave it at that, and then go on with your next coat. Now I am moving on to using Time and Space in the same mineral paint range. And this is black. Like, I haven't put it next to any other black to see how black it is, but it is blackety black. Now, because this one isn't going directly into fabric itself, it probably wasn't completely necessary to add fabric softener to it, but I thought it might make it easier for me to blend, and I did it anyway. Now, I thought this was going to be a lot harder than it was. Blending on fabric turns out to be just as complicated and finicky as it is blending on a solid piece of furniture or timber or whatever. In really basic terms, all I'm doing is putting down some more of that white so I've got a fresh white edge, and then I'll put some of the black along the outer edge, and then I will get a separate dry brush and blend those two together. I sprayed my blending brush with a little bit of water to dampen it just very slightly. By dry brush, what I mean is you don't want it to have paint on it, so you don't want it loaded up or anything like that. And in between blending, you want to get a rag or some paper towel or something like that, or even just some cardboard, and offload any paint that's on it. So just rub it around in circles and offload as much as you can before you put it down and leave it there for blending again. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, I am not the best at blending. I know how to do it. I don't like doing it in a very perfect, pristine way. My blending is rough and I like it that way. If you want to learn how to do really good, perfect blending, go check out Brush by Brandy, we all know who she is, or go have a look at Flip It Furniture, which is my friend Amy. She also does absolutely amazing blending and her pieces are just absolutely gorgeous. Whilst I'm doing all of this blending, you'll notice that I'm going over the edges of where the fabric ends with the black paint. The reason I'm doing this, yes, there is a reason, I'm not just being messy. The reason for this is because you would have heard me say before, black hides everything. So with these edges, these are going to help mask where the painted fabric ends and the painted wood begins, so to speak. So when I go in with my colour for the rest of the chair, which is going to be a completely different colour, it will make it so that I don't have to have it completely butted straight up to that black fabric line. Exactly the same as what I'm doing here on this spot. So when I come in with the second colour, with the other colour, it would have been an absolute bitch to try and get the brush down into these spaces without getting it on the fabric. So I'm going right down into those gaps with the black paint, so then all I have to do when I'm coming in with the next colour for the timber is just make a neat little line down along the edge of that fabric, and I don't have to go right down into that gap. Did it make sense? Did I explain it well enough? Please let me know in the comments. Now we are doing some black stripes. Does anyone recall when I did a video talking about how I was going to be starting a part-time job at the cafe and how that meant I would have to start being more selective about the jobs I do and doing simpler pieces? Does anyone remember that? Because I have done the complete opposite. How on earth am I going to tape off fabric and paint nice crisp lines? Well, I'm not, of course. I'm going to hand paint them because, you know, why the hell not? I did have a go at taping some sections, but only where I could really push the tape down firm. Because of all the blending that's underneath the tape, I can't put down white paint over the tape to stop the black paint from bleeding under, so I'm just having to be very careful about my brush strokes. As you'll see here, it worked out just fine. In hindsight, this kind of more rustic finish actually really did appeal to me, but I had already done the stripes on the back of the chair solid black, so I had to go over it with a small brush and touch it up and fill it all in. So for the sides, I thought this would look cool, like maybe folded up fabric on the edge in a different direction, but it didn't. It really didn't. I tried fixing it, as you can see here, and then just decided to just paint the sides black, and yeah, leave it at that. I've said it before and I will say it again, pick your battles. This is not a customer's piece, so I'm not going to, destroy myself trying to fix this. I'm just going to roll with it and make of it what I can. For the rest of the chair, I am using Sundance. Nice, vibrant, rich, beautiful colour. Now you get to see here what I was saying earlier about not having to go right down into these cracks with the other colour. So you see, I can just make a nice neat line where it's visible behind that fabric and not having to take a chance that I'm going to get that yellow paint on the freshly striped painted fabric. Just in case anyone does ask about the paint that has ended up on the timber sections with fabric softener in it, it does not affect the adhesion at all. I checked it in several spots. It still adheres to the timber perfectly. The adhesion on this paint is absolutely phenomenal. The other thing I've found to be absolutely incredible about this paint is what's that word? What is the word? Coverage. The coverage is phenomenal. If you've used yellows or brights of any kind before, you'll know that the coverage is generally pretty crappy. But this stuff just seems to have really good coverage. I'm not sure why. Because typically brights have clear bases, but this stuff is absolutely great. This is the first coat here, and this is the second coat going on, and as you'll see, and you know me well enough by now, if you've been here before, I do not lay my paint on thick. These are nice thin coats that I'm brushing on, and as you can see, the coverage is absolutely brilliant. Now that I've got all of my coats of Sundance on, I think I did 2 or 3 coats and a spot coat as well, just for little touch-ups or parts I missed. Now I'm going in with the GIMP braid, which I've been informed that it is actually called GIMP braid. I thought it was like a misprint or something, but no, it's called GIMP braid. I got it from Amazon and I'll link it in the description. Also found these super awesome extra long glue stick things and my crappy glue gun. Also chucking this neat little trick in here for anyone else who hasn't seen it. I only found out about this recently, but it's pretty cool because I hate holding that thing in there and trying to use it, but yeah, neat. I don't think there's any real need to give instructions for how to do this, because it's pretty simple. I just cut it to length. I overestimated for these parts underneath because it can be tucked under, and it's better than it being too short. And just started at one end with the hot glue gun, poked that under, made sure that was held down nice and firm, and then just went along with the rest of it. I'm going to talk about this now because I know I'm going to get asked. When you're painting fabric, you want to finish it with a furniture wax. I do plan on waxing the fabric on this chair, but I didn't do it beforehand because I don't want to take the chance that the hot glue won't stick where I've got wax. And also I was running short on time, and I will be doing it at some point, and I will definitely absolutely show you guys how it turns out. Now that this is getting closer to the end, please don't forget to check the description for all products and items used in this video. I'd also like to apologise for my lack of being on here of late. working a second job has taken a lot of getting used to. I am enjoying it. I am doing well, and I greatly appreciate those who have reached out to me via email or on social media to check to see if I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm sure if anything ever happened, my husband would be kind enough to let you guys know. But yeah, all is well. And now a quick reminder of what this chair looked like before. I know I'm going to get Puritans that say I should have left it as it was, but no one wanted it. This other chair will get some love later.